And a warm welcome to the program. I'm Melinda Akinlami. Let's check out the stories we're tracking at this time. The River State House of Assembly has consolidated the Local Government Amendment Law number 5 of 2015-2023 and number 4 of 2024. After that, the House passed it into a unified law, which they say is to cure all discrepancies in the individual documents, some of which include appointment into the board of the Local Government Commission and the payment of political office holders at the local government area level. Speaking during plenary, the Speaker, Mr. Martins Emewile, urged members not to be distracted by the governor's comments about them because he has absolutely no legal powers to say they are non-existent, and urged them to focus on the task ahead, which is to provide quality representation for their various constituencies. This is coming after the APC caretaker chairman in the state called for a resumption of impeachment proceedings against the governor by the Assembly. Saying in River State, some parents are appealing for a quick intervention in the public education system to alleviate the financial strain of enrolling their children into private institutions. With increasing school fees and economic pressures mounting, the parents want the government to enhance the quality of public education as a viable alternative.
Schools in River State resumed for the final term of the 2023-2024 academic session a few weeks ago. As usual, parents are eager to see their children back in the classrooms. Sadly, the story is changing, with many parents now apprehensive when resumption date is near due to the current high inflation rate, which has caused a spike in the cost of learning materials and school fees.
It's very difficult. It's very hard. Because now, as the school have resumed now, the teachers now, they're looking for money for parents to come and pay. And there's no money.
I have two children, 21 years and 17 years. They are in private schools. Their school fees as our last 2 years was 30-something, but now it's 60,000.
The struggle is intensified as many parents prefer to enroll their children in private schools due to the perceived higher standard of education they offer compared to public schools, which ironically are tuition-free and can save them some financial burden.
Without being told anyway, everybody knows now that the situation is terrible. And you cannot compare last year to this year. Neither things are getting worse every day.
The situation in public schools in River State is worrisome, something that Governor Siminalayi Fubara also acknowledges.
An agency came to River State. They called them New Global. And they were willing to spend $5 million. Not for infrastructure, no, to train our teachers, to provide softwares and other things to improve the learning process. I told them to go around and assess the primary schools. After the assessment, you won't believe that 75% of our primary schools have no teachers.
However, the government says it is committed to raising the standard of public schools, which is why it voted 40 billion naira to the cause, the third highest allocation behind governance and infrastructure for education development in the state's 2024 budget of 8 trillion naira. The government is also open to support from individuals and groups. Last week, Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, through her Renewed Hope initiative, donated 50,000 copies of exercise books to students in public schools in the state. The wife of the governor of River State, who spoke on her behalf, expressed Mrs. Tinubu's determination to help the underprivileged achieve their dreams.
It is gratifying that children are the prime beneficiaries of this particular scheme. Please let me add by saying that these exercise books should be distributed to pupils and students in the public schools, please.
With the support from groups like the Renewed Hope Initiative, the Rivers State government may be able to provide a more affordable education in public schools and provide the standard parents and guardians hope to get.
The Edo State government has commenced its food support program in collaboration with the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, to distribute bags of rice to vulnerable residents. During the ceremony, which held in Benin City, the Edo State capital, the governor, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, said the program is part of the government's effort to provide succor for the society.
The Edo State Food Support Project.
The Edo State Food Support Program kicks off with the first phase at the Baptist Convention grounds. The state government in the coming months will be providing palliatives for the less privileged through the church.
Taste to the glory of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Ghost that I flag off this Christian feeding program.
In a very special way as a church.
Governor Godwin Obaseki is clear about the execution of this food distribution project. He says the church alone will be involved in handling the feeding program.
We're doing this for God, and we cannot play politics with the matters of God. So I say I'm not going to involve anybody in government. It will be me and CAN. I said, set up a committee, tell me what to do. This is the amount of money I will give you every month. At least let us try this for the first 3 months. I'll give you ₦1 billion a month for 3 months first. How many people can we feed? How can we reach the poorest of the poor?
He adds that the feeding program doubles as an empowerment exercise, as all the processes involved will be local.
Let us buy the food here in Edo State, not take the money out of Edo State. Let us do the bagging here. The transportation, let us use our own people. You people go and organize yourselves. If you have problems, call me. And thank God there has not been any problems.
For the church, this palliative will go a long way in assisting the poor. The chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, Edo State chapter, Apostle Irepono Moike, reveals plans for the distribution of 10 kilograms bags of rice, 60,000 in total, across the state.
The 27,000 bags of rice will be moved to communities in the 7 local government areas of Edo South, where they will be distributed to churches to those who need them through the churches. The flag off for the distribution for the consignment in Edo Central and Edo North will be done in the following week. We have, just as we have the consignment in this arena for Edo South, we have 50,000 bags for Edo Central and 18,000 bags for Edo North.
The first phase of the Edo Food Support Program is now underway, with the church as beneficiaries. The next stop will be a similar exercise, this time for Muslims in the state.
The First Lady, Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu, has launched the Renewed Hope Initiative Women's Agricultural Support Program for the South-South Zone. The event, which held in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital, also featured the launch of the Renewed Hope Initiative for financial empowerment for physically challenged small business owners.
Gorgeously dressed women from Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Rivers, Edo, Bayelsa, and Delta states are gathered at the banquet hall, Government House Uyo, for the official launch of the Renewed Hope Initiative Women Agricultural Support Program for the South-South geopolitical zone.
Today, we thank you for your presence.
20 women farmers from each of the 6 states are billed to receive 500,000 naira grants each to boost their farming endeavors. Also, 100 fiscally challenged small business owners will receive 100,000 naira each.
Today, we are about to witness the empowerment of 20 women in agriculture per state, who will also be supporting 100 small business owners living with disabilities with funds under the RHI Business Capitalization Grant.
We as wives of governors in the region have rolled out different programs targeted towards reducing poverty, hunger, gender inequality, gender and sexual-based violence within the ambits of available resources.
The coordinator of Renewed Hope Initiative South-South Zone, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Umoeno, is confident that the initiative will significantly complement his administration's efforts to ensure food security and curb poverty.
These are part of the programs we believe we can get to the grassroots and touch our people that we so often forget and only remember them during elections. But this time, we have made it a cardinal priority that will bring them forth. So we work hand in hand with the program of the First Lady, touching the lives of people in the rural communities.
The First Lady, who is represented by the wife of the Vice President, Ajianana Shetima, says the exercise has already been held in all the other geopolitical zones and urges beneficiaries to see the grant as an opportunity to contribute to ensuring food sufficiency in the country.
The Renewed Hope Initiative will be collaborating with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture to empower potential farmers in this space. I want to applaud our women farmers receiving support today to seize this opportunity to expand their agricultural ventures, contribute to local and national food production, and serve as role models for others aspiring to join the agricultural sector.
Symbolic checks were presented to wives of the 6 state governors for distribution to all the beneficiaries. This program is an initiative of the First Lady, Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu, to ensure food sufficiency across the country.
Leaders of ethnic nationalities and critical stakeholders of the Niger Delta have applauded the governing board of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, for setting the region on the path of sustainable development and growth through people-oriented policies and programs. The ethnic leaders commended the interventionist agency for the ongoing Light Up Niger Delta project, which they say has provided solar-powered street lights across rural communities in the region. The Niger Delta ethnic leaders made the commendation during an interactive session with the board at the NDDC headquarters in Port Harcourt, River State.
For the second time in less than a year, leaders of ethnic nationalities, professional bodies and critical stakeholders of the Niger Delta are having this interactive meeting with the Samuel Ogboku-led executive management of the NDDC.
We encourage the Commission.
The ethnic leaders, led by the national chairman of the Pan-Niger Delta Forum, Senator Emmanuel Essien, are at the NDDC headquarters in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, as part of the Commission's periodic engagement to find common ground for effective delivery of development and empowerment programs.
We encourage the Commission to extend this initiative to all communities and ensure the training of local manpower for the effective maintenance of these facilities and others. We also appreciate the Commission's effort in road construction and rehabilitation.
There are other areas that need attention.
We are talking about bridges, roads. They don't even have the roads. They don't have the bridges. And most of them don't even see the light. And the oil and gas is coming from these areas. How will there be peace when those who are producing the oil and gas are not developed? Practically almost all the villages that you have projects. In my village, for instance, we discovered that a road project that was initiated some time ago and come to the village now, practically houses that were there have been destroyed because these roads were abandoned and leading to erosion.
As we are representing you.
For the NDDC Managing Director, the current board is grateful for the invaluable contribution from the leaders. He says the board is aware of its mandate as contained in the President's Renewed Hope agenda.
Seated here, we don't know it all. Our knowledge is limited. Some of you are more experienced and more exposed than us. So we also want to tap from your experience. We also want to learn from the wealth of knowledge.
He urges the leaders to help shore up oil production by protecting critical national assets in their domain.
The only thing Mr. President wants from us as a people is to ensure that we protect the national assets in our region. Because if we are planning all these things and we're having dwindling funds in the country, really we cannot be able to achieve all this.
The NDDC says it is prioritizing stakeholders' engagement as it provides the opportunity to get residents of the oil-rich region involved in the development process.
Welcome back. In response to the increasing threats of climate change and environmental hazards posed by fossil fuels, countries worldwide are turning to renewable energy sources such as wind, solar, and biomass. Nigeria, a significant player in the oil and gas industry, is also charting a course towards green energy. In this special report, our correspondent, Deborah Agbalama, takes a look at this journey towards a sustainable green future.
The community faces a critical juncture in combating climate change, necessitating a shift from fossil fuel to sustainable energy sources. Leading nations in this regard, like Denmark, Portugal, and China, have made substantial investments in renewables, recognizing the imperative of securing a sustainable future for generations to come. As Nigeria contemplates its future amid its rich oil and gas reserves, there's a growing realization of the need to integrate green energy into its economic framework. At Edo State University, the establishment of a Center for Climate Change and Forest Resources underscores the growing recognition on the importance of renewable energy education. Professor Sodianye Abere, the director of the center, emphasizes the need for government's intervention in integrating climate change and renewable energy studies into school curricula.
We should be able to raise people who will be able to adapt and bring up solutions to the problems that we are encountering.
A drive through Port Harcourt, the capital of River State, shows a gradual adoption of solar energy, with approximately 1 in 20 households utilizing solar panels for electricity. Noyelum Victor, a solar energy expert, highlights the increasing awareness of solar power in Nigeria and calls for government measures to enhance affordability and accessibility.
Anybody that can afford 2,000 naira fuel in a day can afford a solar system. The only disadvantage is just bringing out that money once to acquire the system, but on the long run, it's far cheaper than generators or even electricity.
Amidst the transition to green energy, questions loom over Nigeria's heavy reliance on oil revenue. As according to the National Bureau of Statistics, the last quarter of 2023 saw a 12.11% growth in the oil sector, which indicates a 25.50% points recorded compared to 2022. Dr. Okidem Andrew, an agro-business consultant and HOD Agri-Economics Department, RSU, advocates a pivot towards agriculture as a sustainable economic alternative.
The green economy has potential to turn Nigerian economy around. From 1960 to date, I think Nigeria has entered into recession over 8 times.
As Nigeria navigates its path towards renewable energy, it must balance economic interests with environmental responsibilities. By embracing green technologies and diversifying its economy, Nigeria can pave the way for a cleaner and more sustainable future. Deborah Balama, Channels Television News.
The governor of Cross River State, Mr. Basio too, has announced that his administration is prepared to meet the 30% counterpart funding requirement of the Federal Rural Electrification Agency, REA, to provide mini-grid power supply to rural areas. Speaking during a courtesy visit to Calabar, the state capital, while meeting a delegation from the agency, Governor Otu emphasized the significance of power supply in driving rural economies towards energy and food security.
Rural communities in Cross River State face significant challenges in accessing reliable electricity. This lack of power has led to the exports of agricultural produce without proper processing, resulting in decreased product values and poor sales.
His Excellency.
To address this, a partnership between the state government and Rural Electrification Agency is in the works to tackle these issues and boost its microeconomy.
We have a program that we call Energizing Agriculture. And in this program, what we do is we identify agricultural clusters that are viable, and we come to those clusters and provide them with solar mini-grid that will help them to improve their productivity. But under my leadership, Your Excellency, we now want to even up the game bit. We want to not only provide them with the solar mini-grid, but we want to also provide them with solar dryers, solar irrigation pumps, and we also want to make sure that if there is possibility of electric vehicles that will help them to move their goods from those areas to where it is needed, we want to also intervene in that area.
Governor Basio too reassures the agency that the state government will fulfill all necessary requirements to provide mini-grid power supply to rural communities and commence the president's renewed hope agenda.
We are trying to change that situation. Because what happens is people come in here, go right into the farms to pick up these things at very cheap rates. But by the time we go to the market and see the same things that were picked so cheap, turning into something else is a situation which we want to check and address. The government of my predecessor put many of these cluster industries, many location clusters. And because we have vast land, huge, it's been difficult to power all these facilities. When what she told us today, Madam Lamba, I don't think you're going to rest. Because we are actually very restless on how to get those facilities activated.
For the governor, it is essential for agencies, private sector, stakeholders, and development partners to collaborate on rural electricity projects, such as promoting renewable energy solutions and ensuring sustainable and affordable access to electricity for rural communities.
For more on efforts to power many rural communities in Cross River State, the Director General, Cross River State Rural Electrification Agency, Mr. Francis Epo, joins us from Calabar, the state capital. A pleasure having you with us, Mr. Epo.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
What is the current state of rural electrification in Cross River State at the moment?
Right, thank you very much. Upon my resumption as the Director General, His Excellency, the People's Governor of Cross River State, had mandated my office to quickly embark on what we call on the spot assessment across the 18 local government areas in Cross River State to ascertain the challenges that we have. And then our findings are quite mind-blowing. There are communities in Cross River that haven't seen light for God knows how long. But the good news is that His Excellency Governor Basio too is in a hurry to fix those kind of problems. What we identified, we based our findings on three major segments. First of all, are communities that have the infrastructure. Take, for instance, these communities have transformers, they have poles, they have the conductors, and maybe reasonable amount of insulators, but then no energy. Then the second category are the communities that perhaps had these infrastructures before, but have been vandalized. And that's one major problems we're facing, vandalism. And then the last one are the communities that do not have electricity at all. And then we have these findings. We're working seriously to ensure that we do our possible best, to place them based on priorities to ensure that our people have, the reasonable amount of power that is required.
Now, going forward, what role do you think something like renewable energy can play in the plans for providing this sustainable and affordable electricity to the rural communities?
Absolutely, renewable energy is the way to go, sincerely. And of course, just a couple of days ago, we had this interface with Rural Electrification Agency from Abuja. Cross River is an agrarian state. Most of our citizens are farmers, particularly from the central to the northern part of Cross River State. We have issues of accessibility, to their farms and all of that. So by the time we begin to deploy the, solar mini grids in different clusters, I'm sure that's just going to be the new icebreaker, for our people. And that's what we're planning to do very, very soon.
Okay, we're looking forward to this game changer. Mr. Francis Ikfo, a pleasure sharing your thoughts with us on the program.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm very, very glad to be here.
A victim of kidnap, which was orchestrated by a 27-year-old cripple and 2 others, has narrated how she was abducted and later rescued by men of the Delta State Police Command. The victim gave the narration during a parade at the Delta State Police Command headquarters in Asaba. The suspect was an alleged leader of a kidnap syndicate alongside 2 others who used tricycles to abduct their passengers in Ugeli. A 24-year-old lady who allegedly killed her son was also paraded. That's the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Melinda Akinlami.